Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our macOS development with AppKit tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial we're going to be taking a look at how it is that we can move items around in a NS collection view and how we can perform batch updates, because what we're going to do in the example today requires that we use a batch update. And to move items around, I want to preface this by saying you don't need a batch update to move stuff around in a collection view. You can just call move item as a method on its own and it will work. But if you want to move more than one item to specific positions, you will have to do a batch update. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of first talk about what exactly a batch update even is. And it's exactly what I explained just a couple seconds ago. A batch update is effectively a way for us to perform multiple actions on our collection view at the same time. So for example, in this video, we're going to take a look at how we can swap the first and last items in a collection view with each other. And for that, we'll need to do two move operations. And because we need two move operations, that will require a batch update. Now, these updates get performed at the same time in a batch. They don't get executed one after another, as it were. All right, so let's go ahead and inside of our code, I want to show you exactly what we have right now. So inside of Xcode, I have a collection view taking up the vast majority of the window, but above it I have two buttons. One for adding random shapes to the collection view, like we had in the previous video when we talked about adding items to a collection view. And then I have a second button called swap first and last items, and this button is what we're going to create the action method for to swap these items around. So if we take a look at our application when it runs, this is what it looks like. So we have two buttons up at the top, and then we have a collection view right beneath them. So let's add a couple random shapes. Right, you can see how exactly that button works, exactly how we had it in the previous video. But our swap first and last, it does nothing at the moment. Right now, it's just an empty method. It does nothing. It's a dumb button. Let's go ahead and change that. So to begin, what we want to do, the first thing is we need to get the last index of our shapes array. That way we can reference the last element easily without using the count minus one sort of method that we've been using for a while to get last elements of an array. We can say let last index equals shapes dot count minus one. And so that every time the button is clicked, we'll get the last index of our array of shapes. All right. Second, we need to call the swap at method on our shapes array. And what this will do is it will modify the array and swap the two elements at the given indexes that we provide. This isn't a matter of, oh, it'll just return a new array. No, this will modify the array itself. All right, so we can do this by saying shapes dot swap at I, and then there's a J as well. So what element do we want to, so what two elements do we want to swap positions of? We want to swap 0 with last index. So the first and the item, or at the end of the array, first and last, will swap. And that's great. We have successfully done half of what we need to do. The last half is we need to perform that batch update to move the two items around, to actually swap them in the UI. So to do that, we can say cv, our collection view, dot perform batch update. Right, perform batch updates. This takes in a closure, and this closure doesn't return anything. All right, there we go. And because the closure is the only parameter there, we can just wipe that out entirely. So that goes away, and we can use our trailing closure syntax. Now, inside of the closure, we're going to perform the updates that we want to perform as normal. So we can say cv cv dot, and then we want to call the move item method. This will allow us to move a specific item in our collection view from one index path to another. So move item. Now, we can move the first argument is what item do we want to move? So we want to move the first item. So we'll say index path. We'll pass it an item index of 0 and a section index of 0. So the very first item. And then where do we want to move it to? Well, we want to move it to the last item position in our collection view. So we can say index path item, and then we can give it an item index of last index, and we can give this a section index of, again, 0, because we only have one section. All right, so that is one half of our batch update. We're almost done. I'm going to copy this line, and we're going to paste that in. All right, so now we have two move operations, but we need to swap some things around. So the second operation, instead of moving the first to the last, we need to move the last to the first. So in this first index path object that we pass in, instead of 0, it'll be last index. And then in the second index path object that we pass in, instead of last index, it'll be 0. And we can save this now, and we are good to go. Let's go ahead and run our code. Okay, so we have an error here somewhere. Let's use the issue navigator. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that one here. All right, there we go. So into the issue navigator, we'll find that error here. All right, so there we go. I don't know why I put an O there, but there we go. Now we should be able to run our code, and we have a successful build. All right, so here we are. Let's add a couple shapes. So now we have 3 items. And our first items, let's take note. The first one is diamond. And then the last one is oval portrait. So let's swap them. And now oval portrait is the first, whereas diamond is the last. That's precisely what we wanted to happen. Let's try swapping it back to the way it was before. And we go into our collection view again. Diamond is the first again. And oval portrait is our last item yet again. So the opposite way works as well. That pretty much does it for this video, guys, on how we can move items around in a collection view and how we can perform batch updates on our collection views, how we can perform those batch updates to update the collection view. Thank you all so very much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for more, as I post quite a bit of stuff on there. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below if you didn't understand something, if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions for different topics you might want covered. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.